Welcome to Straight to It. I forget what episode it is, but we up there in numbers. Today I'm here with my brothers, the usual suspects. You have Jason, you have Michael, and you have me, Clem Boogie. We are the trifecta of this podcasting thing. So without further ado, let's get straight to it. Um, Tonight, our episode has to do with a very, very common ground topic: social media versus reality. In an age where people can be whoever the hell you want to be behind a computer, um, behind your phone, or any electronical device, you can be practically anybody. You can be a lawyer, you can be a therapist, you can be an influencer. That is usually the hot thing. But here we are. We're going to be talking some things predicated on pros and cons and what this generation, because Lord knows our generation, we were way, way different. We were the people that you had to actually show us that that was your level of expertise as opposed to just type in a couple characters. So without further ado, Jason, you are the quarterback.
All right. So I think that it would be important to talk about some of the early stages first. And I think that, some of our viewers may not have went as far back as like AOL chats and things of that nature. When you didn't have to pretend because you weren't really seeing anybody anyway. That was mostly just for like shits and giggles. And it's
Mhm,
usually groups of people you already knew because we weren't at the full expansion of reaching out to the world yet. And
mhm.
that's kind of where AOL chats were. And then somebody a lot smarter than me decided that this was a global phenomenon and came some great things like MySpace, Black Planet, Tagged, and so many other things, Mi Gente,
Mi
all these sites.
gente.
Yeah,
And I have to say, I was an avid, fluid meter upper in those
mm,
days
yeah.
because that was my charitable stage, and social
Meter
media
upper.
made it easy. And
Mhm.
and and I, and I think that I don't think people intentionally got on there to pretend at first. But what it did was it gave us time to sit back and put our best photo out there first. That's what it was. We weren't stumbling to the bodega with our flip flops, not combing no hair, and just throwing on a wrinkled t-shirt. We didn't do that. We didn't have to because we sat there and we was able to formulate the best of ourselves.
Mhm.
And that's what that was. And then when people saw you and you wasn't always the best of yourself, it started to look like we were pretending even when we weren't. We were just putting our best foot forward. And
Yeah.
um and I think that being that that generated so much attention, people wanted to keep that best foot forward. And then they started seeing other people generate so much attention. So they said, I might just exaggerate a little bit, right? Because in the beginning, it wasn't, at least the people that I was meeting, people were pretty much straight who they were, and it was like okay. But then after like a few years started going by, it was like, whoa, you didn't look like that, and a lot of those situations started to come. And I
Right.
think where people became these imaginary influencers and coaches and things like that with no certifications, uh, no validity,
Mhm.
no clientele. They just put it out there is because social media offered a financial out and
Right.
it offered a way for people to make money. And I think it's a glorious thing for those that do make money off of it. But it did open the doors to fibbing at a
Mhm.
higher level because now you can reach out in Ireland and you can get any type of content from anywhere and you can just rewrite it and you could just reword it and you could just re-edit a new video and you can do whatever you can to make it sound like you know what you're talking about to generate some type of income. And if you really look at it, it's not really that much difference than reality
Mhm.
because you go to the workplace, there's a whole lot of people changing up their voice. There's a whole lot of people pretending that they did a job when someone else really did most of the work. So there's a whole lot of that going on anyway. And I think what social media does is just it lets us lie from the comfort of our home. Like it's like, all right, I'm gonna lie in the world anyway, so I'm chilling at home. Like, and I think when it comes to that, when it comes to lying, I don't think it makes us more of a liar. I think that
Mm,
it's just that we're more exposed to each other now. It
right.
isn't like before where, after school, if we went out, we played some sports and we went home, I ain't see you through my dinner. I
Hmm.
ain't see you at 8 o'clock at night. I ain't see
Hmm.
you at 11 o'clock at night. Where now I see you all the time. And I think that's because of the overexposure. We feel like people are doing things more when this is who we are. But we're just on a stage. So now we show people who we are a lot more. And then we start to realize, wow, like I didn't realize how much I didn't like a lot of people. Like because it's an oversaturation of people. And that's
Hmm.
why, I feel that it's healthy to sometimes take yourself off of it just for a little
Hmm.
bit. And then because everything in life should feel fresh. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like you can't do the same thing every day. And we could always tell ourselves, oh no, but I love it, so I'm gonna always do it. There's always a point where you be like, I'm gonna take a few days away from that. That's what everything we do. We take vacations from work.
Hmm.
There's breaks in semesters in school. Like everything that we love or we do normally, we take breaks from,
Hmm.
except social media, because we're so glued to it. And I
Right.
think that a healthy measure, and I'm guilty of it, I can't even front, but I think that a healthy measure is with anything that we do in reality, we should also do on social media. And that has to do with taking breaks and stuff like that too.
Right. What I think is so funny, and one of the reasons why, like, I asked you and Mike to do the podcast thing is because you guys, I pay attention to your posts, and it strikes nerves. But it's all in good humor for the people who are just not intelligent to grasp it. I think it also challenges people in a level where, like, no, you don't necessarily agree with the masses. Like, a lot of people can really sway one side as opposed to you guys and the way you guys post. You're comfortable in your own skin to stand alone, right? And I think social media kind of shows you like that little, hidden spot, like who everyone tends to side with, as opposed to you really don't have a backbone just to say, you disagree. Like there's a problem with saying you disagree. But yeah, I think it's evident. Like you said, you need breaks for everything, and but also we see it. People are very very addicted to this nonsense. Mike, go ahead.
Well, like I said, you already know, like for us in our era, it's nonsense
Hmm.
to a certain extent because this ain't what we used to.
Right.
So for the like I said again, just like with I tell people all the time with the work from home thing, work in the office is irrelevant anymore. So for my son and your kids, that how I worked in the office at one point in time, that was a goal for me. Like, I want to work corporate and wear a suit to work and all of that. Like I did that for a minute just because it was something I seen consistently. So now with what's going on now, everybody works from home. Everybody works this type of way. It is like there's still people that go in the office, of course, but that's the normal for them. So the same for us with the social media and stuff like that. This is what they grew up in. They never grew up in anything other than
Right.
social media. And is it
Right.
being an everyday, all day type of situation? Now, like you said, of course, take breaks and things like that. And it's more in regards to kids. That's really it.
Hmm.
Because as an adult, you should be at the point to be able to decipher, separate what's what from whatever. And again, that's not even true because it also comes with your upbringing. Us being from New York and stuff like I was talking with a guy earlier doing the Uber and stuff like that. And, we just been exposed to so much that other people in other areas, like they say, oh, New York is always on. It's like, because it's been around. It's like something that may be happening in your area now. I've been around that at 15, 16 years old, that type of life or that type of movement and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So even with, when I'm down here, they be like, that's the hood or this is the hood or whatever it is. I'd be like, not for me. You know what I'm saying? Like 15 dudes outside. Like
Right.
that ain't the hood to me. I don't care what they doing. Like I'm around 3,000 people doing 10 times of what they doing. So it's a difference. So again, let's like to go back to the social media part. Again, just like people say, it's what you choose to follow. You
Right.
feel what I'm saying? Like my son, he watches a lot of YouTube shit and whatnot, and I talk to him all the time. Like that's just, I tell him like, that's some bullshit. I said, you sit here and watch niggas just make up shit about shit all day long, and it's not even a fact of what it is they're doing. This is what's consuming your day. Nonsense.
Yeah.
Like it's not real. You know what I mean? Even certain things, he like watching the Ghost Hunter stuff and certain stuff, and I'd be like, yeah, some of that stuff might be, but overall, it's some BS to me. You know what I'm saying? So again, with the social media versus reality, it's like I said, just like with the police, it's not that bad. Reason being, if it was, it would be different. Like everybody uses social media. So what gets targeted is the stuff that kind of involves our community. Because not to say other races and this, that, and the third who deal with it, this, that, and the third, who don't follow certain musicians or certain these people and these people, they don't deal with the stuff that we deal with. Their kids don't have to deal with the stuff that we deal with. Like I said all the time, my son has been influenced through social media to be the way he has been the last couple of, things. He thought that was the way. He thinks this is the way. But like I said, so I watched this show as well too. Return to Amish, stuff like that and whatnot. Bro, they don't even know about basketball. Like it was one dude who played basketball. The rest of them never like shot a ball, never even seen it. You know what I'm saying? So again, it just goes back to us, the minority, brown, however we want to say it. We choose to indulge in that. Just like with what you choose to follow. I got 5,000 followers. I'm following 5,000 people. I don't know how many people I'm following. You know what I'm saying? But when I first started, let's say 2,500 was nonsense. 2,500 was this. Now the numbers have changed. I'm at maybe 4,000 of something positive, 1,000 or whatever it is. So again, that part, as far as the adult side of things, it just goes to what you choosing to follow and what you choose to, intake as far as what's going on social media. But as far as the kids is concerned, those are the people that we have to pay attention to because they don't know. They haven't been in the world and know that this is fake or this is real. You know what I'm saying? So whatever they see, it's like, that's real because, like I said, just as naive as me, like why would I believe it's not real? You know what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't I believe it's not real? And this, that, and the third. And what I try to tell them again is that what a lot of them don't see, even with them following their rapper friends, the certain rappers, like, and I'll try to go on the radio station with this because we talk about John Morant and whatnot as well too. But they don't show what they do to get this stuff. That would change the outlook of a lot of these kids. Like I said, my son, NLE Chopper, Dirk, all this stuff like that, these certain the baby, we only show that part. We don't show the work that comes with it. And even when they do show the work, they still try to glamorize it to a certain extent of like, yeah, I'm waking up at 6 in the morning, but I got the chef and this, that. Nah, it's showing the days you waking up at 6 in the morning, just going there eating a bowl of cereal. You know what I'm saying? And hitting the weight room and going to the studio and doing your sound check and all that. Show them all that stuff that comes along with it. So we could show them like the part of it is also being responsible. And that's what I tell my kids, like, yo, y'all don't understand all the work that goes behind what they're showing. You know what I'm saying? From basketball players, from the actors, from whatever it is. But again, it just goes back to us. So, and this is just all over with this. The stuff that happened in New York with the kid, the guy that went in to the store in Harlem and shot the 2 people, right? There was another clip. My son posted a clip of the kid probably about 2-3 years before that. And he was just talking on it. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
And he was just talking on the page like, yeah, so he was just on there like, yo, like somebody just randomly microphone, camera, asked him about life and what he wanted. And he was like, yo, I want to do this. And, he sounded like a young man aspiring to do everything. He want to go across seas. this, but it was all super positive. So what Mike Zone was saying was like, we failed him because not too long ago he was right here and he's here. So I said I agreed with it. I said that. I was like, I agree. And you know, one of my boys, he hit me up. He's seen it. He's seen it, and he hit me. He's like, nah, he you know, he's just a predator. You know, this, that, and the third. He's wrong. And I said, yo, I get that as well. But again, I also look at it from that side of things. It's like, yo, like that's the truth. Like who missed that portion when it clicked for it to start going that way? Who has he been around? You know what I mean? And even when, not to say this, and it's crazy, I even go back to that with women and when they're in abusive relationships. I'd be like, yo, like none of my female cousins, nothing could tell me anything about that. I'm popping up. You feel what I'm saying? But it also comes with the relationship you have with people. So if you don't got, like I tell them, like I'd be like, yo, like when I talk to women, I'd be like, yo, she's like, yo, you don't talk to your uncle, like you don't got no cousins, nobody that you rock with that you could have been like, or their presence was felt to the point of where dudes knew, like, yo, I can't do nothing with homegirl because I know I'm gonna have to deal with these dudes. You don't got no friends like that. You don't got no co-workers like that, so on and so forth. So that's the thing that I look at with that as well, is that, like I said, we just don't come together the right way. And that's the same thing with the social media. Like I said, y'all too, like even with you, like you post, but you don't. You know what I'm saying? You post sometimes, but you don't. Jay, I don't follow you on like Facebook or nothing like that. I see your other stuff, and more of your stuff is more business related and stuff like that. Like I said, give them the background to that. You know what I'm saying? Because what I say is, and I got friends, the people who should be posting is not posting because it's like, not to say y'all, but you feel like they're too good for this. I'm not doing, like I've spoken to, I'm not doing that. But then you complain about what's being on there. Let's overflood social media with the right shit.
Right.
Let's do that. Let's not complain about that. Like, oh, all they show is this. Like, not to say this, Jim is my boy. Jim Jones my man. Sometimes I write him at times and may say stuff like, yo, you might need to switch that up. He might not hear me, might not respond, whatever like that. Sometimes he responds to me, don't. But that's just me. You know what I'm saying? And we all have things, and I give it to him as well. He changed up a lot, and from the way he used to post things and promote things and stuff like that, and see the difference in that, you know. And it's just a lot of things. So again, with the social media versus reality thing, again, the reality is the right people need to be on there promoting the right stuff. We need to start getting into the point of, because that's what it is. Like they say with like people make it and then leave the hood and don't help the hood. That's kind of the same thing. Like, well, I hear so many people that's like good people, like they ain't gonna listen. So you the problem. You the problem. If you're willing to turn your back on the situation when you know it's messed up, and it's all because you don't want to put a little bit more effort than it just being easy. You know what I'm saying? Like what I do, even like I say, even when I tell you with the sports, like bro, I kick this out of my pocket, and to a certain extent. Like I work with people and all that, but it's about the bigger cause of helping these kids, not just basketball wise, but other ways. So like I said, yo, you on social media, I tell my friends, yo, talk about being a good parent, talk about being a great husband, talk about being a great wife. Let's flood the market with that instead of letting these so-called, who anybody else would say, assholes or silly people put all types of shit up there. And then we're like, yo, all that's on social media is this. You don't help try to change it. What we're doing right here is another step in trying to help change the dynamic of what's being put out there for people to look at and listen to.
Right.
So again, people need to do their part, and that's what I feel like. The social media versus reality, I think, is all the same. I think it's all the same. You know, of course, certain things, like even what y'all said about the influencer part, right? Like you said, they got to go somewhere and get this information to be able to share it.
Right.
They got to do some type of work to get it. Even if they don't, if it's correct, it's correct. It also goes back on to you to do your own fact checking. You know what I'm saying? Some things you take for at his word, and then like I said, it's just all over, because like again, Yeah, I can hear it. I can see everything. I watch the stupid stuff on social media to the right stuff. And like I said, it's all right here though.
Right. I mean,
The super good stuff, the bad stuff is all right here on the same level because I only take what I feel like is irrelevant to me. But
mhm.
again, that just comes with us and time and wisdom. So again, for the kids, those are the ones that we need to really make them understand what's going on and stuff like that, especially if they're involved with social media. For the
Right.
adults, for the majority, we already know right from wrong and what's real and what's not in most cases. So,
Mhm.
again, the right people need to start stepping up and change the reality of social media.
No, I agree with you. I think the hard part about that is that everyone has access, right? You can't really limit anyone's access because you kind of get what you paid for. Not to say that Instagram, Twitter, or anything you have to pay for. I mean, you might for like social class, you might have to pay for like a check or whatever. But I think in totality, we understood what social media, what the use was. It was just basically a connector for like if you had friends overseas or distant family members or whatever the case may be. That was a way for you to contact them, communicate with them. Then somewhere down the line, people expanded. I think powers that be, whoever they are, kind of saw an opportunity, which it always starts. They've found an opportunity in where you can promote, an opportunity for you to kind of exploit. You're able to have arguments. You're able to just about do anything and everything that's on display. Something probably like you wouldn't do, in person, out of character or whatever the case may be. But from behind a keyboard or behind your phone, you can do whatever it is that you want, whatever you choose. I think a lot of it, we are also in a society right now where it's like, hey, look at me, look at what I'm doing, look at what that person did. No, you have to video it, or else if you don't video it or take a picture, it's not real. It didn't happen.
Right.
And I think it's sad because that is what people deem as validation. Also dealing with, you know, not to say, here we talk about relationships 10 times over. So a lot of that gets played into it. Relationships are definitely tested, but I always think that the relationship is between you and your person. So like if you get intertwined with social media, it has its benefits. People get to see you, oh, okay, he's engaged, she's engaged, or this one's pregnant, whatever. But I think there are times where like things can go left real quick. And, just from, whatever you post or, like a retaliation tactic, like say you and your girl or whoever has an argument, that can kind of flood the, algorithm because someone decided to put it on there. And, although we know it's childish, but that's what it comes to. And, come to think of it, there's a lot of people that do that. And then you have these pseudo therapists and coaches and other characters that tell you what you should be doing, the tendencies you should be looking for, and all that kind of nonsense. Listen, people are unique. Everybody's situation is different. I'm not going to sit here and wait and listen to someone tell me, oh, look for X, Y, and Z that, is hindering my relationship or whatever the case may be. Because are they laying down with that person? Do they see that person? No, I do. I'm the one that has to take the brunt of that, not them. They have a mass audience where they're able to talk and talk and talk ad nauseum, and a bunch of people that sit behind computers and just say, yes, he's right, or yes, she's right. But that's kind of the culture we're in and the society that we're in. However, there is a lot of advantages because now, when it pertains to like if you want to be in the music industry or even in athletics or whatever the case may be, all you do is you have to post. You have to post. You have to have great lighting. You have to have a good team and just, a machine behind you willing to push it. There's no longer the days where like we grew up where you had to go on like 125th Street or whatever, shoot your video, and it took like 8 hours out of the day. or you had to be by LES, by the FDR, and doing something because the scenery or the shot, or even the Bronx by the Fight Club or whatever the case may be. You don't have to do any of that. You can sit right at home. You can sit your ass right at home, have a background, and just talk about anything and everything you want, whether it's rap, whether you want to be a gamer, whether you want to be, some kind of influencer. But right now, I think it's a saturated market because there are a lot of people that can do anything. If you're talented enough, you'll be seen. But, it comes with a lot of competition. And I'm a big on saying that this generation now, when it comes to resilience, they don't have it. Because if they see that there's a competitive space, a lot of them, to be honest, don't want to do it. We see it now, even with the NIL with college sports. I don't really think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing that they're being acknowledged and they're being paid, but the work ethic, it's not visible, because when it's tough, a lot of these kids don't want to do it. They want to transfer, they want to complain, they want to do this, that, and the third. They just don't know what hard work is. Go ahead, Mike.
So that's been always my thing with that. Like you said, man, the phone call just messed me up. You said, like again, like you don't see it or whatever. And as I said, again, what are you saying you don't see it in relation to? Because like I said, maybe in that particular, but in other things, like I said, like every time you turn around now, there's a young woman or a young man that is into real estate and doing pretty well with it. You know what I mean? As far as what's being projected out there and stuff like that. And you see the interactions that they're doing and stuff like that. So again, that's what I said, like, it just depends on what we choose to focus on.
What I'm saying as far as not seeing is, again, it was agreeing with your earlier point, the grunt and the grind. Mm-hmm. That part people don't see. Like, we, coming from an era of where like you had to really show people you do that, not like take an assortment of clips and fuse them together and then they edit here, and you look great all the way around, whether it's a 60-second or, a 5-minute clip. Nowadays, it's easy. Like, we can sit up here. When did we ever think today you can get, we can just be at home, wherever the hell we are, and just be like, okay, we're just going to get up here and talk shit for an hour. You couldn't do that. We not even. Our thing was what, 3-way calling? That was it. We get on 3-way calling, we would talk, and everybody go their separate ways afterwards. Half the time you had somebody yelling because you were tying up the phone line or whatever the case may be. Now, nobody worries about that. You pick up your phone, you can be on the computer, you can be here, you can be at work, you can be anywhere you want to be. And just as long as you have access, that's all that matters. Just the access. What's the first thing when someone walks into your house? They ask, what's the Wi-Fi code, right? They don't ask you how you doing. They don't ask anything else. They ask, what's the Wi-Fi? Because you already know what it's about to be. Jason, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll say that. I mean, you both got good points. I do want to say though, this generation, they have mastered the art of turning social media into a cash cow, and that's an incredibly positive thing. I'll tell you, I always see people that's younger than me, and I try not to dispel them immediately. I try to say, all right, what are these young dudes vibing on? Because not just because I'm a parent, but because, listen, I'm gonna be honest. I learned the stock market because of social media. Mm-hmm. I ain't have not one dude in my hood growing up that said the word stock, and if they said market, we was buying fish. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna keep it real. I didn't know the stock market until I became a grown adult and social media came out, and now I know the market, and I learned it because of kids like these dudes younger than me that are hustling. And and don't get me wrong, one thing that they can't get over on me is to reel me in to buy some program, and because that's old hustle. But I'm not mad at them because remember, we grew up and old hustlers was doing that too. But now they're doing it at the easy way because I ain't hating. If you could reel someone in, reel them in. But I've also learned that they give you enough that you can see if it's valid, and then you can learn. And then you find all these free places that, like, I learned the stock market completely free. I just had to put my time on it and follow a couple of these kids, and they talk about it. And when I'm confused on what they say, I'll go somewhere else to try to get some clarity. I have to say that and like Mike said, real estate. We all knew about real estate our whole lives. I didn't have not one friend that owned nothing when I was growing up. I didn't have one friend. I grew up in the projects. We fought for our block that none of us owned.
Right,
And these
yeah.
kids don't want to do that. They want to own the block. They want to get
Mhm.
acres. I learned all this from these kids. So don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. There's a lot of downside, but
Mhm.
and Clem, you used the word that it's always one of those baffling words, but it's so relevant. The algorithm.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Please.
so my algorithm on Twitter, because
Mhm.
I've learned to manipulate it, it's filled with nothing. So the only thing that comes up on my Twitter is um, artificial intelligence,
Mhm.
real estate, stock market, and superhero movies, because that's my shit. Oh, and
Mhm.
wrestling, right?
Mhm.
That's it. Because that's the only things I force myself to pay attention
To
to
be
on that
right.
platform. Like Mike said, if you only seek for that, because that's all I sought for. So
Mhm.
my Twitter is solely so like people don't really know, because I don't post on Twitter. I follow
Right.
on Twitter.
Right.
So that's where I'd be like, oh, all right. Because you got to remember, when Twitter first came out, Twitter was only for people to follow celebrities. It wasn't
Yeah.
for us to engage with each other. It was, oh, this guy's putting out a concert. Oh, shit. Let me go follow. That's all that
Mhm.
was. It wasn't for you to get nothing. It was no hustle. It was just for you to get closer to your favorite celebrity.
Right.
But so I got used to not talking on Twitter because it
Mhm.
was never for that originally. And I'm telling you, it's some of the most educational shit is these 20-year-old kids who grew up with this. So that's the advantage they have that I love for them. And as a parent, I love that for my kids. The
Right.
advantage they have is information. And I
Mhm.
think that it's our job, like Mike said, is to help disseminate what's true and what's not. So like we can flood it with a little more honesty. And then we'll have less to worry about when our kids are being introduced to, because you can't stop. We'll never be able to stop malice. Malice is
Mhm.
forever.
Right.
So if there's going to be people that's going to do what they do, we can't stop it,
Right.
but we can educate on how to identify it. And I think that's just the role for old heads like us, is to help folks identify the flim flam, because we've seen it in person. And then we can always see it when it's being on the screen and be like, oh, that's familiar. I remember dudes used to do that back in the day. Like, and we can always, we can identify that. I think we have leverage there. And like Mike said, when kids grow up with this, they don't know real or fake, because everything is this. Where
Mhm.
we were forced to be face to face, and we can identify like, oh nah, this dude's a bully. I know this for a fact because I grew
Mhm.
up around this dude. I know
Right.
how he
Right.
moved physically. So it's different. So we get to identify, and we can see certain things and be like, nah, you know what? I gotta fact check that, because that's something shady there. And we're able to do that a lot easier because we was blessed a different way. These kids, I mean, it's easy to call social media a hindrance, but I think it's a blessing for them to have so
Blessing.
much power and information in their
Mhm.
hands. I think that we just have to help. I think that we should be some type of guiding tool when the flim flam comes, and we be like, yo, they trying to play you. And like we can help, because just because we didn't grow up with it, I don't think we're obsolete from it. I think we hold an important role in this world of social media too.
Right. No, I'm not, I'm not, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like in any way, shape, or form that it's a complete hindrance. I think,
Yeah.
It's influential, right? But influence can be diverted in many of ways. You guys both collectively highlighted the more productive ways that it's supposed to be used or can be used. But there's also utility in where we've seen the ugly side of how it's been, where, kids are just over there just doing complete fuckery. And, you just are like, okay, where, you know, who's this person's big homie, or where's the parent, or, you know, where's this, where's that. Like, you guys are speaking perspective because you guys are parents, so you see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I get it as far as like having the pseudo advantages of, you know, having certain things at your fingertips, and also as a learning tool to kind of guide you into next steps. But there's also that ugly side where like a lot of them get caught up. And let's not get it twisted. There are a lot of kids that are just not as fortunate, and they take that, you know, they take that route, whether it's by decision or by peer pressure or whatever the case may be. And they do that. And we see it all the time, whether we watch it on the regular news or even like you guys had mentioned, it's right there, planted right in front of our face. Right now, we can look on our phones collectively. The first thing that probably comes up is the worst thing in the world. Like, you know, you're talking about Ukraine, you're talking about what Trump is doing, you're talking about how many kids were shooting, or mass shooting that took place in Tennessee or Kentucky or whatever. Like, you know, let's not try to make it seem that like it's, you know, this golden bubble where like kids can learn, because when we went to school, there was always a class clown, there was always a jerk, there was always a bully, there was always some kind of ass that was doing something that just wanted to distract and do something. You know what I mean? So like, that's the perspective I'm coming from, but I get what you guys are saying.
And it's real.
Mike,
I think that the malice. Oh, my bad. I just want to just throw one more thing. Clem, you're 100% right on that, because because I wanted to talk about the good first, and then I was going to talk about the bad later on. But so I'm gonna let Mike go, because there was an important element of malice that I wanted to bring up.
So again, just like I said, the thing that I realized, so even go to this, there's a movie that came out, I don't know when it came out, but I just seen it probably like a week or two ago, called The Circle.
Okay.
Have y'all seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
All right. So The Circle.
Who's in it?
I can't think. It's some people that we know that familiar, but don't know their name, you know, but it's a couple of them, right?
Okay.
And the thing was, they created something where, like I said, it's just a circle, but now it's like body cam. Okay. You on 24/7 social media, interacting with your peoples. Everything is connected to the smart stuff. Everything is connected with that. And it was a program. It was like I said, it started out like a social media type experiment situation that continuously grown. So like I said, the one lady who started it, she, 10 million followers. Everybody follows everything. I mean, from no, turn it off. Like no, never off. Like go to sleep. They can check in when she's sleeping, everything like that, but it's the little thing that you keep on. So many people got involved with it, and then they tried to spin it into, they felt like this was something that would help the world in regards to, there's no hiding nothing. You know what I'm saying? They feel like, but that's if you want to do that. So it ended up being a portion in the movie where they were trying to promote it as something that everybody around the world should have. And then it turned into trying to explain how it works well. So the person was like, yo, there's been somebody I've been trying to find that I haven't been able to find. And they was like, what's the person name? Such and such and such, such and such and such. And because now it's in this database, everybody all over the world who's attached to it and all the cameras, AI and all this shit like this, after a while, within under 8 minutes, they knew exactly where that person was at. Ooh. Like, it was like, because you wearing the thing, everybody's wearing it, and anybody who ever had glimpse of that person, just like, how they do with the ATMs and check all of that, it went to that and stuff like that. And they was like, some bad stuff came out of it, but again, and that's when I got into the realm of, I said, that's horrible. That's a horrible thing to do. Because like the girl who was doing it, she, older parents. And her parents was involved with it at one point in time, and she even got them into it. But then when the parents was going through something, so she tried to do something like refer to her parents, and she was like, oh, they're not on, da, 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 da. And then she ended up going to the house later. She got her stuff on, but the parents was having a moment. Right. And they're like, yo, like, get out of it. Like, don't cut that on. We don't want to be on right now. They're like, but I'm saying, da, da, da. Like, Mom, Dad, this is the thing. Like, we don't care. We don't want this.
Mhm.
Like, she was like, why you didn't have it? We want, like, no, we don't want to do like that. You know, they took it off. We don't want this no more. Like, we don't want people involved with our every day, every second of everything that we're doing and stuff like
Right.
that. And through that happened. Person ended up getting himself killed by it because the girl, same thing, she was looking for someone, and they found the guy, and the guy was trying to be in hiding because he didn't like all the social media stuff. He was somebody who used to work with them, I guess. I didn't see it from the beginning, but somebody who was her friend that just decided to disappear off the map. And they was like, well, if you can find our friend, we can find your friend. And she was like, no at first, but because it was her thing, she had to go through with it. Found dude, and I mean, like, it was like, I'm gonna phone, but it was like people was running up on her like, hey, this is him right here, right? Like they was trying to be the first people to, oh snap, I see we're looking, oh, he's in the store. Look, this is him. And then they chasing him and stuff like that. He ended up trying to get away from them, drove off the cliff, and ended up dying and all of that. So she went through a little phase, the same thing. She had to, cause she bugged out off of that. But after it was over, the 2-3 days after that, she came back like, you know, that's just part of it. There's casualties to this and so on and so forth. So again, that got me in the mind frame again. I said, yo, it ain't going to get no better. It's going to be like what we're talking about. It's going to continuously be that up and down because as much as we feel like it ain't that, they're trying to give us so much more access to everything in social media or being connected with people that, again, is just going to go to if you want to deal with it or if you don't. Now, in that movie, they were trying to push for it to be like a legal thing, like everybody had to be involved with it, no matter what. Everybody had to be involved with it. It goes to the same thing as far as the money situation where that currency changed and it was doing all of that through that and everything. And again, like I said, like I tell people, certain things, like they were talking about the following stuff. I'd be like, yo, I ain't got nothing to worry about in certain things. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh, like your card, they can always track you doing this and this, that. I don't do nothing that I have to worry about anybody knowing where I've been at. You know what I'm saying? But also, I get the other side of you don't want you don't want people to know where you're at every given moment and stuff like that. Like even now, they talk about the stuff with the cars where you don't get the boot, you don't get a boot no more. They don't come and take it. Now the new cars, if you don't pay your what's the name, they got the kill switch on the new cars.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ain't paying your car note, you ain't looking for the repo, man. All they gonna do is flick the switch and wherever you at, that's sitting. You know what I'm saying? So again, just like I said, I've done the thing that we're talking about, the good, the bad, and all this stuff like this, and that's how I reverted over to let me change what I'm looking at. You know what I'm saying? Just like you said, I got the page that we talk on, but my business pages, I don't follow basically nothing I follow on my regular page. Like nothing. I don't like that is straight basketball trainers, spiritual people, you know, stuff like that, so on and so forth. Twitter, I'm not even on. But my other pages is directly for that. And that's how sometimes if you ever see me, like, I'd be like, yo, like, I'm going to leave that page alone because I want my attention to be fully that. So, like I said, I get where you're coming from with that, Jay, and so on and so forth. Like I said, there's always going to be the negative. But just like I said, like when they were talking about the cops thing, you know, all cops, I was like, there's no way possible because if all cops was bad, we'd be out here purging. You know what I'm saying? Like it'd be a purge going on if it was like the way people made it to seem like all cops were bad cops. And even to go into the Tekashi 6ix9ine thing, right? Y'all see him lately?
Yeah.
I follow him.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
Not to say this, love what he's doing.
He giving money out, man.
He had that moment of all that other stuff that happened with the court stuff and all that stuff like that. But
it
again,
looked like he grown from it.
Yeah, super. Yeah. But he was like that before. He just toned his antics down because he was always helping people. That's the one thing I always say. He always doing something for people, giving away money, doing things like that, and so on and so forth. It was just all the extra wild out antics that came along with it, in my opinion. So that's just like with Pac at one point in time. When we were younger, I did not like no Tupac, none of his music. I hated it. Like, did not want to hear it at all. But him, the person, loved him, the person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to hear California Love and all that stuff like that. It just wasn't hitting to me. But when he talked and he was doing certain movies and things like that, I'm locked in. So that's the same with like a Tekashi 6ix9ine. That other stuff I pay no attention to, but I do pay attention to the good that he does in the world and the way he goes to different areas and help people out and talk about different things and so on and so forth. Just because, like I said, that got nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? And again, for us, just like we said with the media and stuff like that, they talk about everything. Like I said, we talked about this before. Kanye talking to town when it was negative, and that's all we got to really realize. It's like when it's negative, yeah, they posted it, but ain't nobody talking about how they came back to him. That same energy ain't getting pumped, and it's not even being pumped by our community. That's what makes it bad, because our community also helped or laughed about him coming down or being brought down, but now we see him winning and they need him. We're not putting in that same energy to say this. So now maybe the next time some shit like this happen, they be like, you know what? We don't even gotta fuck with him. Because the community, you know, we should have been like, we should have kept it going and be like, yeah, you see, they need us. They need us, but we didn't pump that. We pumped, they don't need us. Get them the fuck out of here. Pumped all the negative, like I said, and that's all it is. So, like I said, with the social media stuff, that's the beauty of that compared to regular media. Regular media, we're force-fed what it is or what their agenda is. On social media, you can say, you know what? I don't like CNN. I'm going to follow Revolt, or I'm going to follow this person who gives me the information the way I feel it should be given, or you know, however it is and stuff like that. So again, like you said, you tap on to certain. I know the same thing with you, Clem. I guarantee there's certain people that you follow, or you know, just because of the type of person they are and the message that they pull across and all that stuff like that. So again, that goes back to the same thing. We just got to start letting certain things go. You know what I'm saying? You following 5,000 people, but if 4,000 of them is promoting a bunch of idiot stuff and things like that and so on and so forth, you're just like how it was with us when we were kids watching TV. Our parents used to be like, man, watching that idiot box, or, you know, things like that, because they looked at what that was on there that we were watching, which at times were certain type of sitcoms or certain things like that they considered to be stupid. It's the same thing now with us and the kids and things that's going on. Come on. I don't want to, I hate that, but they love it. They love it. It's everywhere. Can't help it. You know what I'm saying? So what I had to do, accept it a little bit more than what's it. So, and to be all over the place with that, they was talking about that with baseball, right? Baseball, y'all probably know, because Jay, you probably watch baseball, and I know y'all talked about Clem. I know you watch baseball and stuff. They talking about now the 8th inning thing that they changed. Now that you could drink in the 8th inning before you had to stop at the 7th. Right. And they was, you know, they were saying like, oh, that's stupid. You know, why are y'all doing it? Oh, y'all only doing that because the games are faster and all this other stuff like this. But what the guy said about like that and some of the rules is that the problem is with us older people and people in business, we don't want to adapt to the new things. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want to say, well, social media is here and just go with it. You know, whatever it is, or this, that, and the third. We want to continue to, this ain't it. This shit ain't going nowhere. That new shit with the baseball, that ain't changing. They keeping it that way. And certain things are just where it is. So that's what they're saying. Like, that's my thing. As you know, it is what it is. Now let's decide to find out the best way to make it work. Like I said, same way I've learned plenty off social media and so many different, from educational things, DIY stuff, definitely cooking, because I'm always on, you know, so there's so much greatness that comes out of that. Again, we, them, whoever chooses to highlight the nonsense, when, like I said, you follow 4,000, 5,000 people, you're following good stuff. You're following people who showing their, you know, they started their own company. They do this or they do that, they do this. But like I said, that one negative thing come across, that kind of throws off all of that. And that's what we got to get away from as people in our own self, because that happens with us. something negative happens, no matter how good your stuff is going, your focus somewhat turns into that. And I post something that was crazy that I posted a year ago. You know how the memory stuff come up, and it was like, stop whatever is something on your strengths, but you got your strengths down pat. I'll send it to y'all in a thing, but it's like you know what your strengths are. Focus on your weaknesses. You know what I'm saying? Like it was something like that. Like, you know, so that's the same what I say in this. Like, I think again, and I said over and over, you know, some of the influence stuff is crazy. Some of the stuff they do is crazy. But there are people like, dude has changed the way I look at things, and I probably said some stuff, and I'm trying my hardest to get into it. Yaki. He's been on High Level Conversation. He's the herbalist. Like, talk about all of the eating and how your body and everything like that, and so on and so forth. Yo, he's a blessing, bro. He's a blessing because, and him, the way he went about it and got the information was the same thing. Not social media, but the internet.
Right.
Having that access to be able to get all this information. So, like I said, guys like him is a blessing. I follow him. I got certain people on the thing that anything they post, it hits me. You know what I'm saying? So again, man, it is again, us, adults, young people, old people, whatever it is, gotta just work on the deciphering part of what it is. But then again, it comes back to just being around each other. Because like I said, after you get off of this and I get off of this, I'm not connected with nobody. This is the first time in a long time, like I said, even from my other place, I live in a neighborhood where nobody really talks to each other. No. You know what I mean? Y'all situation is a little different because y'all in buildings, y'all interact. I live on a block, about 12, 15 houses on here, in and out. Where back in the day, it was more of a collective,
right?
And people, you know, interacted. But like I said, now that's one of the negatives. So instead of interacting that way, like I said, I don't got to talk to people out here. I can talk to 10,000 people in Australia every day. I don't got to interact with my next door neighbor.
Yeah, you're right.
Or whatever. So again, there are negatives from it, but the overall with social media, the internet and things like that, I consider it to be a major plus. It's just, again, we did 5 things right. We do one thing wrong. The attention's going to that one thing wrong, and we're dwelling on it and we're washing away. You know, that's out the window. Like I said, we're not talking about the positive things that's going on in that manner. It just keeps directing towards that. And that's just, again, how they prepped us as far as just social media. As I said, y'all say y'all don't watch the news, right? I don't really watch the news. I don't watch the news. Be it because it's nothing but that trash on there. Like, you don't watch it. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy that they can do this every day on the news. And it ain't like, yo, bro, y'all know y'all been pumping nothing but negativity over and over and over. If it's an hour show, 45 minutes of it is basically negativity.
Yep.
10 to 15 minutes is of something of positivity, and it might not be nothing but, hey, you know what, today we got some firefighters that saved a cat out of a tree for an old lady over here in the Mont Haven section of the Bronx. But then right after that, yo, it was robberies, murders, this, and like I said, they're trying to scare or put people in a frame. Like, it's just ridiculous, bro. But overall, I think social media has been the best thing because, like I said, it gives people like us the outlet to speak. It gives us the outlet to give people that option of, you don't have to just hear the bullshit. You can, and like I said, you can go to this person podcast and listen to that bullshit, or you can come over here to our podcast and listen to some positive, and you have that choice. Where before, when we didn't have that, like I said, whatever they wanted to program us with on TV or in a book or whatever it was, that was just our reality. Where now, like I said, oh, you said this, as soon as I get on, I'm Googling it, I'm checking. I'm making sure. Or just like they say with the funny thing, like you said, you go in somebody's bathroom and you see all them pills, like, hold up, let me see what this person's dealing with before I go back in this room.
Yeah, facts.
So, you know, again, it's always gonna be the negative, but I say if it was so much like that, man, we'd be out here purging. And people acting like think about it the way it was. It'd be full nonstop purge. And we definitely don't want that.
Yeah. Jay, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm very thankful for social media for many different ways in this journey. Um, Social media made buns easier in my charitable days. I mean, I didn't think nothing was easier than college. And then I got on MySpace and it was like, what? I don't even know you. You want to hang? Let's just go hang out. So I love social
Yo,
media for
hold
many
on, Jay. But
reasons.
how about this? So you know what was crazier?
Yeah.
Before we got the MySpace, when it was the chat line, and you
Yeah. Oh,
meet
that
up
was
with
crazy.
people like that's when you meet up with people you ain't even see.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
check this
Hey,
one out.
chat
I'm gonna
line
take it one
Brooklyn,
step
we're
back.
on.
Look, I'm
You
gonna
jumping
take it
from
one
borough to
step back.
borough,
You
huh?
don't remember when we was you don't remember when we was all teenagers and we used to buy the rap magazines and in the back you used to find a pen pal.
Yeah.
So
Oh
I never
yeah.
seen that.
You never seen
Back
you remember you used to buy rap
on the
pages
like
and all them
like
books.
back
So
pages of
so
Word
back
Up magazine.
yes, word up. So the last 3-4 pages would be like some random female would be like, "Hi, my name is Allison. I'm
Mm-hmm.
17 years old, and this is my address. I'm looking to
Mm-hmm.
make friends." Yo,
Wow.
and I would dead ass and they would write me, send me photos. I'd be like, "This is a real person." And then like 2-3 months later, you meet with them. Oh, my family's gonna take a trip to New York. Can we hang out? I'm like, yeah, yeah. It was crazy, but so
Mm-hmm.
we started there. Then we did Chatline. Then we did AOL. Then
Uh-huh.
we did MySpace, and here we are. So my one major worry for social media, it isn't so much the concern of misinformation because I believe in responsibility of self. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that accountability is major in everything you do in life. If you just absorb the information that makes you feel right instead of being right, then that's a fault of self. But the real concern I have is that in the last in the last 2 years, actually no, the last year and a half, there's been an incredible large number of arrests by the FBI for child predators on social media, more than it's ever happened. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're at an astronomical numbers where every day the FBI is announcing we just arrested this guy. He had like 11 victims. Like it's crazy. And what I found out by diving into it because I got little ones.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it isn't just adults. So you could be like, oh, you know what? Just do a background check. Nah, they putting kids up to it.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is you have these dirtbag adults, and they're manipulating the children in their families to take part in it. Oh, you want to make a new friend? Oh, go ahead. And then what happens is when there's some type of secret meeting session, the adult comes and does the kidnappings, and it's this whole crazy
Yeah,
whole thing
it's
that happens.
ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I will say that so that's the scariest thing for me on social media. However, no matter how creepy these dudes get, I do want to highlight that the number of arrests have been astronomically high, which means that as good as they think they are, somebody's a little bit better because they've been catching their asses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I think that, like I said, there's so much good in it. And for that little bit of bad, you still got some people that's trying to stop that. And I think it's pretty dope because, 4 years, what is it? No, for the if you count, I can't count 2023. So before January of this year, the
Mhm.
last 6 years have been a child predators playground, social media.
Right.
The numbers have been just growing, 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 growing. But in the last 18 months or so, I mean, the FBI must have just been like, we got them all or something because the amount of arrests that they've been getting all these dudes from like the last 6 years or so, 6 years before this year. So it's like
Mhm.
7 years. They must have just been like, all right, these guys ran the mill and now we taking them down or whatever. So for those that are out there, the friends that your kids are making on there, try to make sure they're real friends and never let your child meet another child. Um, Adults should always be present. So that's what I wanted to throw in on that because I think it's important that we use social media to benefit our lives.
Mhm.
And sometimes for shits and giggles too, right? You want to have some fun, you want to find some prank video, which I tend to always do because I think those things are absolutely hilarious. But then at the same time, you know, you want to be educated, you want to be informed, you want to find a way to financially prosper, and you want to be able to smile every day, right? That's what social media should be about, and connecting with people that you don't normally able to connect with or that you haven't seen in a long time. When you grow up with it, children are going to immediately gravitate to everyone that grew up with it. And you know, meeting someone in Moscow sounds pretty cool when you normally wouldn't do that. It sounds pretty dope. Meeting someone in Beijing sounds pretty dope. So when your kid is like 17 and they want to go on a trip, you know, I just think that we have to be able to teach our children with every intent of putting fear in them, if that's what you have to do, teaching
Mhm.
them the truth about social media, and then, you know, guide them into using it the right way. I think that sometimes we just use it as a babysitting tool. Oh, all right, fuck it. He's just sitting on Facebook or whatever. It's all good.
Right.
And I don't think we can do that. I don't think that we can assume because they grew up with it that they're safe in maneuvering in it. So,
Mhm.
with all the things that I brought up about the FBI making these arrests, I just wanted to put it out there because I want parents that are watching to be like, "Oh snap, my kid could be in danger." I think that that goes back to my old earlier point was that we serve a purpose. We can educate people on how to be safe. Like I just think that, you know, we can't assume, all right, my, you know, my 8-year-old grew up with in the internet world, so he should automatically know all the rules. It doesn't really work that way. So I think that we have to put game onto a lot of these young folk and let them know, listen, you know, there's some stuff I'm gonna learn from you, but let
Mhm.
me put you on to something to keep you a little bit safe. And I think we all serve a purpose. I think social media is only going to become a greater tool for life once as the way we continue to incorporate it with artificial intelligence moving forward. I think this is only gonna it's gonna favor us far more than it's gonna be a hindrance.
Right. Mike, go ahead. Mike, what the hell are you doing? Okay. Mike is suffering from technical difficulties, so I guess I'll just
Yeah.
go. My closing and my point of view when it comes to this topic is that it's a very serious one. It's you know, Jay, I think you hit it right on the head. It's gonna be ever growing, you know, it's gonna be advancing at a rapid pace, more rapid than we would like to think. I
Yeah.
think uh awareness, it should be highlighted big time because, you know, although this is a genre where it, you know, lies in as far as influence and growth and, you know, just getting your personal brand, because now you, when you talk to people, that's what they talk about. They talk about their personal brand. So it's one of those situations in where, you know, you want to, you know, put your best foot forward. You want to look great, great lighting. You want to essentially, the script has to fit what you're trying to portray or sell out there, right? So I think with that, it's to say, you know, just be aware. You had mentioned you being a parent yourself, Mike, obviously being a parent as well. You know, there are people, they're your kids that look under you. They look to you for guidance, but you cannot you there's also, you know, a threshold where you can't protect them all the way. They have to experience certain things for themselves. Like, let's not kid ourselves. We, you know, we come from an era where we did shit, and to this day I don't think my parents know. Like, my I think my dad, when I sit there and talk to my dad sometimes, I think he thinks he knows everything, but he has really no clue. Like, he knows a big portion because, you know, he was a boy at one time. He was a teenager. He was a young man at that time. And I think it trickles down to us, you know, whether, you know, for you it's you guys, your kids. For me, it's like nieces and nephews, and they'll ask me for certain advice or something like that, or just people, younger people in general, which we're around or they're around us all the time. They'll like try to pick our brain, which I appreciate. But like, it's the old adage, if you're gonna ask me for advice, then pull up a chair, sit down and listen. But if you just doing it just to, like, you know, humor yourself, or you're trying to, you know, see where I stand and you don't value what I'm going to say, then what's the point? Like, what are we doing here? I do think that it's a great tool, as far as communicating and being able, the reach that it has, and you're able to talk to people across seas or, you know, areas where you never thought or ever even heard of, and you're able to, talk, be in touch with. Before, it was like you had to go to the store, get a calling card to talk to someone that was across seas or in a different state to, to where we advance a little bit, where when it reaches 9 o'clock at night, then you're able to call outside and your data plan didn't matter because the call was free, or, for the people who had smartphones, in the infant stages, we had, what was it? We had BlackBerry. So you had someone's BBM. You didn't even want to talk to anybody. You just give me your BBM number and, we handle it that way. And yeah, we had all kinds of outlets. You had the Craigslist, you had Mi Gente, you had MySpace, you had, let's say what it is, you had Tinder, if that was what you wanted to do, which was cut and dry. You have, obviously IG, you have Twitter. There's a plethora of platforms that allows you to stretch and reach whoever it is that you want to reach. But I do agree with you guys. Like, for every 5 things that are very influential, that play a positive effect or positive role, all it takes is for that one mess up, and it just permeates. And then I always tell it, even like when I talk to people and stuff like that, when you make a mistake or you do something wrong, people tend to just linger and let that mistake, just like it's like the black cloud. Never mind all the good that you did. If you make that one mistake, that's the thing that they tend to remember. They'll hold it against you. Everybody turns into philosopher. They forgive, but they don't forget, yada, yada. They do all that. But, people are designed the way they are, like they're just going to remember the stuff. Like, especially in our community, we're always suspicious about somebody doing something good. But when it's something bad, like, I knew it. That's just, we're conditioned that way. I mean, and still to this day, we're like that. And we talk about it even amongst ourselves. Like, when someone's talking to you, within the first 10 to 15 seconds, this dude is bullshit. And he's not really not that serious. But, what else is there to be? But I do respect social media. I just find it that, there is a good and bad, but you can only learn from it. You can only walk that fine line and experience it for yourself. Everybody's experience is going to be different. So with that being said, that's our episode for tonight. Thank you for joining us. If you guys know where Mike is, please tell him to thank everybody. I don't know what Mike is doing, but no, I'm joking. We want to thank you guys for sitting here with us for the past hour and some change. This was an enjoyable discussion. Please like, share, subscribe. The numbers only help us out, and we're talking about that proverbial algorithm helps us be in the news cycle. We're not ABC, we're not the Shade Room, we're not CBS. We're just a bunch of guys sharing our opinion. So with that being said, for Mike, that left us a little too early, and that's Jason, and I'm Clint Boogie. We'll check you out on the next episode with Straight to It.